You know, bullying isn't just something you hear about. For some of us, it's personal. I still remember moments from my own school days that stuck with me, and I'm not alone. Studies show that in Nigeria, the prevalence of school bullying ranges from 70% to as high as 85%. Even though most schools ban bullying, it still happens and it hurts young people psychologically, physically, or emotionally. What does it look like? How does it shape young people? And what can we do about it? From Lagos, Nigeria, I am Favour Buying, and this is the 77%. Let's get into it. Bullying is not always the big dramatic scenes you see in movies or shows. Sometimes it's physical, like hitting, shoving, breaking someone's things. Other times it's verbal, teasing, name-calling, threats. And now there's even cyberbullying, sending hurtful messages, embarrassing photos, gossip, all online for the whole world to see. And sadly, anyone can be a target, even the popular ones. But is bullying always obvious when it's happening? I've met some young voices with some interesting opinions here in Lagos, so let's hear from them. Ibrahim, what does bullying mean to you?
Bullying is the act of forcing people to do things in physical or emotional ways.
That's a very strong definition. But Mohammed, I want to ask you, do you think bullying is something that is always obvious when it's happening?
Bullying is obvious because you can just easily tell from the reaction of the person that is being bullied. Just like in such ways, like the person is always lonely, crying in the toilet, sitting alone most times.
That's very interesting also. Now, Elijah, what do you think about that? Is bullying something that is always obvious?
No, it's not. Most people, when they are being bullied, they can go to the toilet and go and cry. They have their emotions. Like me now, when I'm being bullied, I'm black. I can go to the toilet after like doing long break to go and cry, or I go when I reach home, I gotta tell my mom. So I don't think it's obvious.
You've just heard it straight from our young Lagosians. Bullying isn't one simple story. It's physical, it's online, it's quiet, it's loud, and sometimes it's hiding in plain sight.
Chaotic.
Yes, it's chaotic. But here's a twist. What if we took this conversation to another level? What if bullying wasn't just a school issue, but a criminal one? Should it be something you can actually be charged for? Well, we asked that question on our new 77% format, Convince Me, and let me tell you, it was heated. There was a lot of back and forth, some strong opinions, and honestly, the final result might surprise you. Who is ready to hear what the panel decided? Here we go.
Hello and welcome to GW77% and you are watching Convince Me. For today's topic, our topic is, should bullying be a crime? Let's meet our debaters and hear where they stand.
My name is Vahana Vijay Chelvid, and I firmly support the motion that bullying should be a crime.
My name is Abidemi, and I stand on the motion that bullying should not be a crime.
I am Nikorapu, and I stand firmly in support of the motion that states that bullying should be a crime.
So are we ready for the breakout sessions? Are we ready? All right, great. So let's move to the breakout session and see you soon.
Words can hurt just as much as fists, but should they be punished the same way?
No. Why would they?
They should. They should be punished.
Why would they be punished the same way? That's not fair.
It is fair because bullying causes a lot of psychological trauma, causes things such as anxiety, PTSD. We cannot ignore the feelings of these people and the hardship of these people, all in the name of protecting the feelings and the comfort of an abuser.
What do you define as bullying? Bullying is a very thin, very hard to spot line. Banter and bullying are very confusing.
Bullying is like intentionally harming someone, knowing that you're trying to gain something out of them and you're trying to put them down.
How do you tell if the person is being bullied but they think it's banter?
Because based on what the victim feels, that's like the main thing.
If it's a crime, how do you plan to sentence them out? Do you plan to use the legal system? The jury, a court?
Yes, we plan to use the legal system, but it goes step by step. There's a process. First, we have, like, for example, if it's underage, we have schools, we have counseling, we have there's so many other options. Like, the whole point of criminalizing doesn't mean locking someone up. It doesn't mean ruining their lives. It means there's other types and other ways that we can help bullies become accountable.
He has to go through legal due process, otherwise it's illegal.
Team 1 is already deep in a heated debate. But how will Team 2 kick things off? Could we see some compromise here?
If schools are not effective enough to cause students to be able to face mental rehabilitation so that they come back better people, then I believe that it's time for legal repercussions to be administered so that we're sure that students are able to come back with a different mindset and they're not going to repeat their mistakes from the past.
But don't you think that legal repercussions are way too far? Imagine being a 12-year-old and simply just out of peer pressure or out of confusion, making a tiny little insult, and next thing you know, you're in jail. Imagine the effect that would have on the person.
I think we should also consider how bullies get their behavior. Majority of bullies actually come from abusive homes and they experience child neglect. I don't think that these children should be punished for behaviors that they have learned from their parents, especially if these behaviors can be resolved with the right intervention.
If bullying is criminalized, bullies who have faced trauma from domestic homes and things like that can actually be given mental help and psychological help.
But why do you have to be named a criminal before you get mental help?
You don't have to be named a criminal before you get mental help. You can get mental help and then receive your criminal punishment.
I don't believe you need to face criminal punishment specifically in order to change one's behavior as a bully. Because if you look at the effects of even entering the juvenile justice system, it has such an adverse impact.
I compel you to actually take into consideration the well-being of victims of bullying. For instance, now, victims can also develop mental illnesses such as anxiety and depression.
Team 2 is also facing some serious gridlock. Meanwhile, has Team 1 made any progress?
Okay, so what's the issue with the courts?
The issue with the courts is it takes too long, it's expensive.
Okay, but that's fine. We're not going to prioritize the fact that, we're not going to say because it takes too long, we're going to ignore it. Because it takes too long, we should let the people that are killing themselves, because of bullying, continue to kill themselves. People that are suffering with depression, continue suffering with depression because we don't want the court to take too long. 30 days, that's fine. And additionally, besides just suicide, there's a study that shows that 70% of school shooters have been bullied, threatened throughout schools. This shows that bullying doesn't just affect the victim, it can affect everyone around them. And the fact that you're trying to say that we should prioritize time, money, or resources over life is just so inhumane. I don't think it's not really a feasible...
I've listened to your source. Now, I'd like to use a case study.
Sure.
Specifically the EU in Netherlands. Fun fact in Netherlands, weed is legal. And guess what? They have a lower percent of addicted drug users in the Netherlands than in the US.
So what does that have to do with it?
They don't criminalize using weed. They bring you there to rehabilitation on your own. You go there on your own willingly. They don't criminalize it.
But weed is not bullying.
Exactly.
Weed is not bullying. Weed is not the same thing. Bullying is an action that hurts other people. It's the way you handle bullying cannot be the same way you handle drug.
Some interesting comparisons in Team 1, but no real breakthrough yet. And over to Team 2.
We shouldn't ignore the fact that most bullies are just developmentally immature. Studies have shown that 35 to 45% of self-proclaimed bullies say that they didn't realize the harm they were inflicting or thought it was just joking.
Countries with more ruthless anti-bullying policies have seen a very significant reduction in school-based bullying scenarios.
The justice system is already overwhelmed by a plethora of different cases. How do you expect them to use all their money and resources effectively?
I still believe that bullying should be criminalized, but maybe not all bullying cases should be treated as severely.
What if the bully actually does not understand the harm and how hurtful their actions were towards the victim?
Victims of bullying will feel a sense of value. I think I agree that bullying may not have to be criminalized, but I think there should be some sort of legal interventions, maybe fines or community service.
I would like to present a compromise. Instead of giving people fines, which they might not even be able to pay off, I think we should go for the alternative of temporary restraining orders. This doesn't go on the bully's criminal record, and it also protects the victims from further bullying.
So, just to ask Adam what you say, what if in a case where, even after these restraining orders, this bully doesn't stop bullying others, what do you think should happen afterwards?
Well, I think during the time where they have a restraining order, they should also go for rehabilitative programs and behavioral treatment.
It seems Victor will soon be convinced. Now the big question, can Team 1 still pull it together?
So since you're saying that bullying should not be criminalized, what solutions do you give? What solutions do you have to offer to mitigate the problem of bullying? Because we all know it's a big issue in society right now.
You think putting a crime, making a legal title in an underdeveloped country that has barely any police force, barely anything, corrupted people, do you think that is much better? You think the legal system in America is worse?
Once again,
The legal system in Eritrea
what we're saying is you don't lock them up.
I just said lock them up.
I love this. I love it. And you guys are doing great. Nice. But we need to come to a conclusion, right? Right. So that's a good essence of this. So I need to know, is anybody changing sides?
No, they haven't convinced me. Even they are underdeveloped country. How do you go to get an underdeveloped country to pass a law?
Okay, great.
So it's in underdeveloped country to pass laws. So
Once again, I love this. I love the fact that you still believe in what you believe in, right? We have a last round, we have a last session where you have the chance to actually now talk to your live audience and tell us your point so you can actually convince us. Let's go out and finalize this, shall we?
Yep, sure.
Right, let's go.
Why don't we just come to a conclusion that we can put the bullies into rehabilitation? Because clearly if they're repetitively hurting someone, that means that they might have personal things going on, or they're also going through psychological problems that need to be inspected. So don't you think that the best way to come to an agreement is by putting them in either rehabilitation centers or, like Michaela said, temporary restraining orders?
I think as of now, I've come to a conclusion that is kind of similar to yours, so I agree with you to some extent.
Full on success, at least it seems. Victor has been convinced at first, but will they also be able to convince the audience?
All right, and this is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for the teams to come and actually convince us.
Rehabilitation does not have to happen with legal intervention. We also agree that majority of bullies learn their behaviors from abusive parents, so they should be helped rather than punished. We also agree that criminalizing bullying can destroy futures and effectively crush job aspirations and upheave education.
Great. So, in my breakout room, though we were unable to come to a conclusion, some points like the legal system gives fear into what they're doing, makes people less likely to do it, were raised, and also the cost of a jury and a trial and everything was also raised.
Now, if you want to actually convince the audience that's standing here, what are you going to say that you think would be able to buy them to your side?
If it was made illegal, the government would have to take charge of it. That would add millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to government spending, government deficit. Let's say bullying becomes a law. You cannot bully again. You and your best friend used to banter all the time. You could now be very possibly afraid of your best friend going to the police and reporting you for something you both of you will consider banter.
Oh wow, that's a very, very interesting point, I must say. Just to be clear, this team here says bullying should not be criminalized, right? Yeah. All right, thank you very much. For team 2, who are we starting with? All right, Nicole.
Bullying is a very serious circumstance. If you name call, if you bully, you have to answer to the consequences, either if it's through counseling, either if it's through community service. In one way or the other, the legal system has to oblige you to do something. Bullying does not only affect the victim, but all of us around us. So we need to make sure to put a stop to it.
All right, thank you. But the question is, have you been convinced or confused?
Can we please talk about the fact that bullying can lead to suicide, that bullying can have strong psychological effects on people?
We're just saying that incarceration isn't the best way to deal with bullying. Why don't we educate instead of incarcerate? Take them to rehabilitation centers, study their thinking patterns, their behavioral patterns, understand why they behave this way so that they are able to change their behavior, so that they won't hurt other people. Most of the times when you take them to jail, they only get worse. So why don't we educate instead of incarcerate? Why don't we heal, not harm, and teach bullies the impact that it has, change their mental thinking and their behavioral patterns, and show them that bullying actually has a bad effect on people.
Have we been convinced? Yeah. Are we ready to vote? Yeah. If Team 1, who believes that bullying should not be criminalized, have been able to convince you today, please raise your cards. All right. So if team 2, who believes that bullying should be criminalized, has been able to convince you today, please raise your cards. Okay, all right. So I think this is very clear. Thank you very much, and thank you very much to my wonderful audience. Thank you very much to my wonderful team 1 and then my wonderful team 2. You guys did a beautiful job. Thank you very much for coming out here, and it's a wrap.
Okay, so I'm here with Elijah right now. And Elijah, I've been a part of this conversation from the very beginning. And I honestly want to know your opinion about the debates that we just watched. Do you agree? Do you not agree? What are you thinking?
I agree, because most children who get bullied, they kind of feel emotional. So I don't think the person who bullied the children should go scot-free.
That's some strong opinion right there. Elijah, I'm not done with you. But, you know, this whole time we've been talking about bullying as something that happens between high schoolers. But sometimes the person making your life difficult is wearing a teacher's badge. So what do you do when the person you're supposed to trust is the one crossing the line? In our next story, we head to Uganda, where in some schools, corporal punishment is still part of the discipline. Just a quick heads up, this report contains discussions of violence towards children.
This is Jeremiah. He is 4 years old. Last year, a teacher beat him so badly. The mother says he lost half his hearing.
The doctor found signs of physical trauma, suggesting that he was lightly beaten on the sides of the head, as the medical examination also revealed swellings consistent with beatings.
But the scars go beyond his ears. Jeremiah now fears everything about school. His mother's been forced to homeschool him. But even at home, Jeremiah fears making mistakes.
Every time you mention school, he panics and fears he'll be beaten again, sometimes shouting that he's done with school.
Jeremiah is not alone. Accused of stealing sugar, Emmanuel Chitimbo suffered a spinal injury after teachers beat him mercilessly for more than 2 hours. He spent a year and a half in hospital, fighting to stay alive.
I can't change myself, walk, stand. I was almost dead.
Educationists insist that learning and violence should never mix.
It damages the self-esteem of the child, and that's not a good thing. They will hate the subject. They will blame themselves, for example, if you're beating them for not passing a subject. They will hate the subject. They will hate you as the teacher. They will not say it, but they will hate you. They will feel embarrassed among their fellow students, and they will expect it. They will normalize it.
In Uganda, corporal punishment in schools is banned by law. Yet studies show that nearly 70% of schools still use it as a form of discipline. Many cases go unreported, sometimes even encouraged by parents. Videos of children being beaten often circulate on social media. Advocates now warn of a deeper risk.
Many of those children who have gone through trauma, corporal punishment, are traumatized. And even when they grow old, the only thing they'll know how to do is to inflict trauma on the next generation. So it is just passing on trauma from one generation to another generation.
Though carrying lasting injuries, Jeremiah, like Emmanuel, is lucky to have survived. Some children have died. Activists warn that many more will suffer or even die if society does not abandon a violent mindset.
What do you think about the stories from Uganda? I want to know your honest take on that.
I think it's bad because there are other ways of punishing a child. Because corporal punishment now can lead to severe injuries, and you don't know the particular situation of the child. So I don't think corporal punishment should be allowed in schools today.
That was very interesting, Elijah. Yeah, I get that. And you know what? These conversations show just how tricky it is, because what some see as discipline, others see as bullying. And with regards to bullying, some countries have taken a strong stance against it. In Kenya, for example, bullying in high schools has actually been banned for more than a decade. But instead of disappearing, it's taking on new forms. Now, some of the people who experienced it before the ban are speaking out not just to share their stories, but to understand its impact and to help make today's schools safer. Let's take a look.
It made me lose a sense of safety and part of my identity. It was dehumanizing. Just take a quick minute.
Trevor is revisiting a painful chapter from his past. Like nearly 86% of Kenyan students, he was bullied during his first year of high school. His experience was severe. With the help of experts, Trevor has agreed to revisit this experience to understand bullying's causes and impacts.
A student will be sent to me after they've experienced bullying, and the first thing I do is try and just make it very safe for them, and then we actually discuss what bullying is about.
Trevor's first experience with bullying began at a public boys' boarding high school during his first year. There, older pupils, including prefects, were allowed to punish younger ones.
For example, if my bed is not made quite straight, they're like, this is a reason for you to be whipped, so I get whipped.
Pupils call this monolization. It's a hazing ritual in many Kenyan high schools where students in their last year of high school bully those in their first year. Leila Guyo says this creates a vicious cycle. This pattern of abuse can lead to serious emotional and physical harm.
I remember one instance, I'm fresh out of the shower, preparing to go for dinner, and so I have my towel wrapped up around me, and one of them tells me to climb up my bed, because I used to sleep on the top bunker, tells me to hang on top of the ceiling, because it was an open ceiling, and then he gives me some context. He's like, I know you've watched action movies, right? Every time I shoot you, fall down in slow motion. We're going to do this as many times as we can until you get the right shot. I did that, God knows how many times. I ended up bruising my ankle. That was one of those experiences that caused a tipping point for me.
When somebody experiences any form of bullying, what adolescents do is that they dissociate. Dissociating is, in simple terms, is you just lock it out in your mind. When that happens, usually in the most uneventful moments, then the effects will be seen.
For Trevor, this happened after he transferred to a private day school that he enjoyed. One day he blanked out and woke up in hospital.
I see my mom and my family around me, and I'm like, what's going on? They tell me, you started eating chalk. That's when I first was diagnosed with PTSD.
Studies show up to 37% of bullying victims may experience post-traumatic stress disorder. In 2013, Kenya banned bullying in schools, but it hasn't disappeared.
It's not just a social problem, it is a public health problem, it's a mental health problem.
Dr. Agri Mukaya's research found that nearly 94% of depressed children had experienced bullying, with bullying significantly increasing the likelihood of depression.
Recently, we have more and more mental health services, but it's not enough. We don't have enough psychiatrists, we don't have enough psychologists.
Trevor was lucky to have support outside of school. His parents put him in therapy and he took up writing to cope.
Writing became my anchor. It was one avenue that I needed not to mask the pain. I could actually be able to process what I was going through and what I was feeling.
Today, Trevor thrives at work, life, and has a happy dog named Max. He's moved forward, but still reaches back to help others.
I wanted to create an enabling environment for kids who've gone through traumatic experiences to realize that what you're going through is not right. It's not your fault.
So Trevor launched the Anti-Bullying and Rape initiative. He stages interventions in schools, speaking directly to students about bullying.
It's such a thrill and it's such a joy for me to see and experience what I didn't have through these kids.
Trevor is still working to bring his program to more schools. Some hesitate, afraid of being seen as having a problem, but he's determined to fulfill his mission and makes sure his message is heard.
On that note, let's remember that bullying is not kids being kids. It is serious. It can leave scars that last well beyond the classroom. If you know someone who is having a tough time, speak up, Tell your duty of care person, a teacher, or someone you trust. Your voice could be the one that makes a difference. Well, that's where we leave it for this edition of the 77%. But you know us, we're never done talking. Keep the conversation alive on our social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're there and we're listening. From the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, I am Favour Buying. Till next time.